In my Sword Coast Guard campaign, my players were faced with a diabolical choice. Confront the ancient white dragon before it took wing to destroy the town of Leyland, or stop the frost giant army before it sacked Rassalantar. But they could not do both. It was one or the other. Ultimately, they chose to take out the dragon, reasoning that it was more dangerous since it could fly quickly from town to town, whereas the frost giant army marched along much slower. So while still dangerous, the damage they could do was more contained. And of course, it was a dragon in its lair, so loot. Yeah, a mix of logic and greed, I suppose. And then after they took out the dragon, when they finally caught up with the frost giants, you better believe they also found Rassalantar lying in a pile of smoking ruins. For every good moral quandary must come with consequences. Otherwise, it's not a quandary, is it? Hi, I'm Luke Hart, and on this channel, I share my nearly 30 years of Game Master experience so that you can run amazing games that your players will love. And today we're talking about 7 things Game Masters often neglect, but that players love. Number 1, moral dilemmas. This is what my players confronted in my previous example. Pick A or B, and either way, you're screwed. You can help someone, but another suffers. This is something that every good villain does. Get in the head of the heroes. And let's face it, you're the villain. So make your players sweat it out. Make their consciences, can't say that word. Make it sting a little. They may be able to save the world, but villages will burn in the process. It may seem like players want everything to resolve to a perfect ending. Everything should be a win, but the truth is that the most satisfying victories come when there is a great price to be paid. Number 2, narrative descriptions. Many game masters are decent enough at describing scenes, rooms, castles, a lonely stretch of road in the forest, but they often completely neglect describing other things in the game, such as combats or the mannerisms of an NPC as they talk with the group. The hissing insectoid rears up, opens its mouth, and spews out a stream of liquid that sizzles and burns as it splatters on everything in the room, including you, is way better than the inkhead spits acid at you. The innkeeper frequently picks at his nose while he tells you about the bandits along the roadway and serves drinks, is way better than the innkeeper tells you about the bandits. Somebody's gotta have like an innkeeper picking their nose in their game. That's just epic. The glasses. Oh, I don't even, that's a road I don't even want to go down right now. Anyway, if something is happening in the game, it's probably worthy of narrative description. Add spice, add details. Just remember, short and sweet. One sentence, paint a picture, and then move on. Number 3, be generous with information. Remember, you know everything, or at least you should. You designed the adventure or read the module, or at least you probably should have read it, the module if you're running it, or at least read the first adventure. You should have a clue, right? However, your players don't. They don't know everything. Sometimes they don't have a clue either, but they don't know everything, and they shouldn't. They're the players. Okay, this is turning into a big thing. So if they seem lost or unsure, or seem not to remember a piece of key information that you already gave them, fill in the blanks. Remind them, give them more information, help them along. Unless you're running a mystery where the point is for players to grope around a bit, wandering around blindly in the dark and just hoping you go where you're supposed to go or do the right thing is rarely very satisfying for players. Provide sufficient clues, lay breadcrumbs, accept the wrong answer if it still makes sense in order to move things along. And if your players are wandering in circles, step in and guide them back to the right track. Subtly, if at all possible, of course. Number 4, use special voices. I'm gonna harp on this until I run out of breath. I don't care if you think you suck at special voices or accents. I don't care if it makes you feel self-conscious. Get over yourself. This will make your game better. Almost every single game I've been in that has been amazing has been one where at least the game master and a few players used special voices when they were talking in character. This elevates the game experience. There's no way around it. I'm not a voice actor, and you're probably not either. Who cares? the game will be better. And if you do it first, others will feel more comfortable doing it too. By the way, if you're finding this information useful, please give me a thumbs up and share this video with a fellow game master. And if you think I don't completely suck, please let me know down in the comments. Yes, I'm a grown adult, but my overinflated ego is super fragile. And if I'm not validated in the comments, I'm just gonna lose it. No, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But some people would lose it. Or turn comments off. Because, you know, that's a thing. When people are saying things that you don't like or they're criticizing you too much and you're like crying in a corner, you just turn the comments off. Then you're happy. Then you're happy. Number 5, manage the game. Group activities do not manage themselves. It takes a leader. And whether you think of yourself as a leader or not, as the game master, you are the leader of the group. And when I say manage the game, this is what I mean. First, get the game started. As a player, I hate it when the game supposedly starts at 1 p.m. and I'm kind of there on time, but the game doesn't actually start until like 1:30 or 2 o'clock because the game master is just allowing folks to chat instead of getting rolling. Now, I don't have a problem with a little chit chat because a lot of us are friends and we want to catch up a bit. And that unrelated chit chat does lead to better relationships and better games, but it needs to be kept to a reasonable limit. I was once in a game that was complete chaos. Players were talking constantly, often over top of each other. The game master had his head buried in a module looking stuff up. Players were declaring actions. The game master literally had a queue of like 5 actions to resolve. Once he resolved one of them, 2 more joined the queue. He forgot half of the actions that had been declared. Players were getting bored and moving into adjacent rooms to spice things up. It was utter pandemonium. If I could like have my hair all messed up and like be in like a moo-moo with like a disaster scene behind me, it was pandemonium. It was utter pandemonium. That's probably gonna upset some people because they wear muumuus. But you shouldn't. You shouldn't wear muumuus. Those should be like outlawed, just not allowed. Anyway, I didn't stay in that game for very long, just like as if you wear a muumuu, you're probably not gonna be subscribed to me for much longer. Oh dear. As a game master, you need to keep the chaos to a dull simmer. Resolve one action before allowing players to declare their actions. And when they jump the gun, gently remind them that you need to resolve the other player's action first. Finally, be prepared so that you can run the game instead of look crap up in the books. Oh, and maintain the gaming schedule. Be adamant. We play every 2 weeks on Sunday at 4 p.m. If you can't make it, that's okay. Just let me know. But we're still playing. We don't cancel or reschedule unless at least 3 players can't make a game. Frequent cancellations and rescheduling is the spiral of death, and your campaign won't survive it for long. Number 6, make travel interesting or skip it. Recently, my Thieves Abound players came across tons of footprints as they were traveling from Corbadir back to Frostmantle. Clearly an army had come through, but my players were free to investigate or skip it. They did choose to investigate. They found an undead army of perhaps 1,000 zombies marching on a small dwarven mining outpost and decided to do something about it. Yes, the trail of zombies on the march is a point of interest in my book. In a different game, my players discovered an ancient tower that appeared every day at dawn and reappeared in a different part of the world, and they nearly decided to see where it goes, which would have changed the course of the entire campaign. Fortunately, for me, I suppose, they decided not to see where it went. My point is this. If you can't do something more interesting than a random encounter with a battle and a fight and a smacky wacky, maybe your players should just arrive from point A to point B without anything at all happening. I got no problem with an occasional random fight because you found some cool monster in the book that you really want to use. However, when players do travel, I'd use about 80% points of interest and only 20% random encounters, which in my book are almost always planned encounters that I usually try to tie to the main plot anyway. Number 7, run challenging combats. You may think that your players just want to be superheroes and curb stomp everything, but you're wrong. Maybe you're not wrong, but you're probably wrong. What do I know? Even if your players tell you that that's what they want, they're wrong. They're wrong. Everybody's wrong. I'm the only one that's right. Probably not true, but whatever. We're just gonna roll with this, and you can leave your angry comments down below. Look, my point is that stupid easy combats get old and boring after a while. A nasty surprise waiting around the corner that forces your players to fight for their lives and just barely win will leave them exhilarated and riding an adrenaline high. Trust me, I've seen this at my tables. Players are happiest and most jubilant just after they survive a tough battle, even if there were a few character deaths. The best games, in my experience, are those that include a mix of easy and medium difficulty combats, and then every so often have one that's completely brutal. Now, one of the challenges of being a dungeon master is time. You want to run cool adventures, you want your players to have fun, but life is busy. Where are you going to find the time to design your world, create your adventures, and come up with interesting encounters, traps, and puzzles? Fortunately, with Lairs and Legends and Loot and Lore, my team has already done a lot of that work for you. Don't have time to prep for a game? Grab an adventure, read it in about 15 minutes, and you're ready to run your game. Need a puzzle? Pick one from the puzzles chapter. How about a cool trap? We've got you covered. New monsters? Yeah, in spades. Look, you don't need to feel stressed out and overwhelmed before your next D&D game. Just pick up Lairs and Legends and Loot and Lore at the link below, and let my team of professional game designers do the work for you. With over 700 pages, these may be the last books you'll need to buy. Now, if you'd like to learn how to design a good puzzle for your games, check out this video right here. And until next time, happy game mastering.